Has it been a long day? I hear this is the last one maybe for this session. Have you been getting
Yes,
some good
I mean,
response?
it's so interesting um how it's generated so much interest, the costumes. It's just like a lot of people want to talk about it and it's pretty fantastic, right?
It is, and I think that should be the case with any film because I think if there's anything that draws us into a character, it's sometimes the costume design. And a lot of times we're like, oh, well, the action was this or the cinematography was that. But if we're not drawn into a character, which we are with Stephanie and Emily, immediately, which in this case, I think even more than most films, like for instance, we see Emily coming before we see her. There's that, it's almost like her fashion precedes her. She allows that to lead her in. And for me, I could be off base, but for Stephanie, I feel like almost she hides behind hers. She's very
Yes.
stylish, but she sort of uses that as sort of protection. Talk a little bit about the bringing both of those to life so that we understand the character before they say one word simply by what they're wearing.
Right. Well, I think that just to go back and sort of agree with you completely how I don't understand why costume design is not talked about more, in that it is so um it's so informative, it's so influential, it's so uh it is the first thing you see, and then it allows the actor to be whoever they are. In terms of both these characters, I think you're asking me, how did I approach the fact that one is so broad and one is not? Is that sort of what you're asking me?
Or was that your intention? Like when you were
Yes,
styling both of them, did you want that to sort of give
yes,
us their personality?
yes. So one of the things that was created in the first, which is really the sort of fun of watching them again, is this frenemy tension between the two of them. They act it, they are spar with it, the dialogue is about it. And so the costumes, it was very interesting. It was like clear that this was going to be an over the top mafia type wedding destination, Capri, Italy. I mean, it was just sort of like, oh my God, really? I'll do anything I possibly can. And scale, silhouette, and sort of beauty and outrageousness played into that. Uh, I would say, and when I talk to Anna and Anna's character, she has matured now in a way that she's not enamored in the same kind of way with her bestie, or her frenemy, I guess. She's skeptical, she's reluctant. She does go, obviously, but it was the sort of juxtaposition of Anna's character being in sweats and sneakers, clashing with the changes and the outrageousness of the character of Emily, creates a real tension on its own, a visual tension that works. And then within that, they can just act, how just they bring it, with their acting. And Anna was so comfortable and so happy walking around, let's say, in sneakers and sweats for the most part. Granted, she knew well enough and was mature enough as a character to pack some very beautiful gowns for being the bridesmaid and going to the garden party. So we were able to see her, how she's grown and become more mature, let's say. Uh, but the contrast was evident. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that sort of angst that we get because there's no worse feeling than being somewhere and feeling underdressed. That angst comes from just her being around this person who seems to have it all together. And
Yeah.
so
And
it's really
also
nice.
she is sort of the chronicler. She goes, I mean, she's defiantly not dressed up, let's say, and also saying, like, what are you doing? What are you wearing? She sort of interprets like a little bit what's going on in the banter. So it's funny. And it also gave me freedom to go as far as I could with the sort of grand outlandishness, intimidation of Blake's costumes, of the
Yeah.
Emily character.
Having this one set in Italy, there's so many new characters that we get and so many different looks, and we had this extravagant wedding and all of this going on. Other than Stephanie and Emily, who was one of your favorite characters to flesh out with their costume and to create a look for that you were just very giddy about?
I mean, it was brilliant to have Miguel Moroni, as her soon to be, husband. That was a lot of fun. I mean, when he walked in, I mean, we were all like in a tizzy about him, and then this big, beautiful 6'5" guy walks in, and I go, "Oh yeah, you're gonna like be perfect. I'll open your shirt. You'll wear, a tank top, and and the girls will go wild." I mean, it was wonderful to see, to have Henry return. It was brilliant. The Allison Janney and Elizabeth Perkins, that duo was so funny and fun, and like patterned madness and sort of 70s referential stuff. And I just enjoyed all of it. I mean, it was a big challenge. There were a lot of characters. Portia, the mother, was somebody that was a lot of fun thinking about and costuming. So I would say, I mean, it was a really, really fabulous ensemble cast, and that the format of it being this destination wedding made it so heightened and wonderful, because you could pack those things, your best,
Mhm.
your funnest or most, outrageous. Mm.
What is your favorite work dynamic? Because you mentioned when you saw the actor or the actress come in and you look at them and think about their style, do you have it pre-notioned in your head from a script or from storyboards?
I start by talking to Paul, of course. And Paul had a reference of a wedding that took place in Capri, and it was like over the top. It happened right in the same place. And that was a reference, but I really like to reference old movies. I reference, Cary Grant and, To Catch a Thief, all that beautiful stuff, all Lauren Bacall, any kind of cinematic reference, I really, really enjoy. So I do start with storyboards. I show Paul. Paul says, usually, yeah, 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 love it. He's very enthusiastic. He's an amazing collaborator and likes to see me take it to whatever level, go as far, push the edges, as I like to say, or push the envelope as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect, almost a perfect storm, where all the elements could come together. And then, you've got making these costumes in Italy. I'm going to like Torelli costume shop and going and looking at the pictures of, every famous Italian, movie, anything that was filmed in Italy since the 60s up on the, up on the wall. And I'm going, okay, this is one of those moments, where, and this is a contemporary movie, and I'm able to do that. Generally that's the feel that you have when you're doing a period movie. You get to sort of
Mhm.
make as much as possible, but here we were able to, and I like to do that. So the locale really influenced a lot.
You talked about looking back and using references of old movies. You have had the opportunity to work on so many movies in other decades. Is there one fashion trend that you don't miss that you're like, I hope it never comes back? It might have seemed cool at the time, and you go back and watch it and it fits it, but you're not, now you're like, no, please
Yeah,
not
like
again.
90s street, if it isn't grunge, I would say. Like, ugh, why was everything so pale denim and oversized?
Yeah,
Why were
yeah.
our t-shirts 3X, triple 3X, and like nobody had a shape?
Exactly. I know. I think that too. I look back on family photos. I'm like, why was I wearing like a triple X t-shirt
Yeah.
or whatever? It's like it made no sense. But
And also putting on that on film is so counter, right? You're always like going and thinking, okay, they're gonna frame it here, and I really want to make sure like they're framed beautifully, and yeah. So I would say that is the fashion like we could do without.
You have so much experience. Anybody who wants to get in this and do it to the level and success that you have, and starting out, what advice would you give them that maybe you wish somebody had given you at the onset?
I would just encourage, I would say, a lot of what I didn't know was that I would have to fight for a lot of things when I'd have to know what to fight for, number one. I'd have to learn that, be it like a design that I really felt strongly, or a budget or a crew. I didn't know any of that. I mean, there's a lot that you just plain learn by doing it, which is true of anything, any career. I'd say the thing that has been most helpful for me is that I really wanted to do it. I went after, I was ambitious and I wanted it and I stayed with it and I didn't give up. And there were times, I mean, every time I finished a movie, I thought I wouldn't get another movie. And so as a veteran now, I think, wow, if I knew that, but then you don't know that, do you?
You don't.
So it's like life. It's just like, I mean, movie making is like a mini, microcosm of life. You kind of go through this whole thing and then it happens. A lot of what we do that's so enticing is that it's so much about problem solving. And so it's very exciting. And you're very, kind of captivated in the moment because you have to solve something. You have to get it on an actor, you have to get it on camera, and then they shoot it next. And that's a very intoxicating sort of place to be. But I think you have to understand that number one, you really must want that. There's a lot of stress to that. And you just have to stay really tenacious. Just stick with it.
Yeah.
You
Well, as
know?
we said at the top, costume is so important. It's always relevant, and what you did here was amazing. As
Thank you.
always, it was one of the finer points of the film, and so I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time today, and I look forward to seeing your next look.
Thank you so much. Let's talk next time. I just did Housemaids with Paul.
Oh yeah, well definitely, yeah. Whenever they, yeah, I'm willing. I'm here, just sitting
Yeah,
here.
there's
So
a lot to unpack on that one. Next, to be continued. How
to be
about?
continued. Yeah, exactly.